Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name is BoTalksGames, and today I want to once again reevaluate Nintendo's lineup and marketing strategy for 2023 following the announcement of Everybody Won to Switch. I have seen a lot of people kind of freaking out over this announcement, not because they're excited for the game. I don't think anybody is, to be frank with you. 1-2 Switch is fine, but this video isn't really about that game specifically, but they're freaking out because they think it being announced randomly on Twitter means we are in for another summer of Nintendo announcements through tweets. And to be honest with you, I did some research. This announcement, if anything, makes me more confident that we might actually get a regular Nintendo Direct this summer. Now, I've been of the belief that they could do the weekly tweets thing that they did last summer. You know, that could still definitely be the case. We might end up waiting until September for a Nintendo Direct. But I was doing some digging, and the idea that Everybody 1-2 Switch being announced kind of eliminates the possibility of a Nintendo Direct. That is definitely not the case. So, like I said, I did some research, I did some digging, I pulled out some release dates and announcement dates and all that for you all today, specifically with EPD4, and that is the group that makes these quirky Nintendo games, basically, the family-friendly Nintendo games. Because if you don't know, if you don't remember, if you weren't keeping up with it at the time, every game from this team, with the exception of Switch Sports, has been announced on Twitter. So let me run down some dates for you. So I could go back even further to Labo. I know Labo was announced, I think, a week after the mini direct, or whatever they called it, in January of 2018. But I only went back to 2019. On September 12th, 2019, Ring Fit Adventure was announced on Twitter. And I believe there was like some lead up to that a little bit beforehand, but for those that don't remember, there was a Nintendo Direct the week before that on September 4th, 2019. They don't include these casual family-friendly games in their Direct. I don't really know why. You know, Switch Sports, I guess, is a little bit more of a core idea for a game. And Ring Fit Adventure is a fitness program, you know. But there are games that they've announced on Twitter that I think would have been fine in a Direct. For example, Clubhouse Games was announced in a Nintendo Direct Mini in 2020, whereas normally I feel like that could have easily been a Twitter announcement, right? So their reasoning for why they would choose to announce a game on Twitter versus a Direct, it sometimes is a little weird, but basically just if it has that family-friendly party game kind of vibe to it, they will announce it on Twitter. And from all of these examples, with the exception of, I believe, one, they are all near other Nintendo Directs. So, for example, with Ring Fit Adventure, the Direct was on September 4th, 2019. That's where they announced, or where they got a new release date for Animal Crossing and all that, I believe. But then a week later, we got Ring Fit Adventure announced, right? And it doesn't end there. So, and similarly, this one doesn't have a Direct right with it, but still a Twitter announcement around a Direct. September 30th of that year, in Japan at the very least, Dr. Kawashima's Brain Training was announced on Nintendo's YouTube channel. That could have easily been a 30-second clip in that Direct earlier that month, but they decided not to for some reason. Nintendo's marketing is very weird, and they do this very frequently. This one was a little bit more out of the way of a Direct, but on May 5th, 2021, they tweeted out the announcement for Game Builder Garage. Of course, that was kind of taking the corpse of Labo and turning it into its own piece of software not related to cardboard, and that released a month later in June. And that's the thing you'll notice with all of these games. They announced them and released them within about a month or two. In the case of Ring Fit, it came out in late October, I believe, of 2019, so about a month. Dr. Kawashima's Brain Training came out in December of that year in Japan, and then January of the following year in Europe, I believe. And then with Game Builder Garage, yeah, it was announced in May and came out at the end of June. And then we had one more game, and this is the one I really feel like could have been in a Direct. Big Brain Academy Brain vs. Brain back in 2021 was announced via a tweet on September 2nd, 2021, and we actually did get a Direct. Let me check the date here just to make sure. We got a Direct on September 23rd, around TGS that year, and it's usually around TGS, right? So they are not prone to announcing games and then having a Direct within a couple weeks of that. So for those of you freaking out saying, oh, because they announced this party game, Everybody 1-2 Switch, on Twitter, we're in for, 3 months of Twitter announcements, I don't think that's the case. Maybe I shouldn't have said this means, oh, this is like reinforcing my faith there will be a direct, because it doesn't necessarily mean that, but it definitely doesn't hurt the possibility of a Nintendo Direct airing in the next really month or so. I would say it's either going to be in June or it's going to be in September. I don't think they're going to do it in between. We could, I think I mentioned this a few weeks ago in another video, we could get a partner showcase in July or something. I was reading a Family Boards thread, and one of the people on there made a great point. Last year, we had the situation with the Xbox showcase where the Persona ports were announced, and then it was kind of up in the air whether or not that would be coming to the Switch. I mean, in hindsight, it's obvious, but Atlas is weird, so people weren't confident in that. And we didn't get that announced until the partner showcase in, I believe it was late June, so a few weeks in between. We're likely going to see a similar scenario to that this year, where Persona 3 Remake, which is all but leaked, that's going to be announced at the Xbox showcase, most likely, and we're probably going to get that on Switch, I would assume, but we might not get that announcement until a Nintendo Direct in July, or like a partner showcase, like I said. And even in that last video I mentioned, I would be totally fine with a partner showcase to some extent. I really want more first-party announcements post-Pikmin, because we still don't know. But, you know, we're going to get more information on, like I said, that Persona 3 Remake would probably be confirmed for Switch there. You'll have all the level 5 games, like Fantasy Life and Deca Police, and, of course, Professor Layton, which is coming out next year. But Deca Police and Fantasy Life are this year, so those can be pretty big Switch games. Obviously, Deca Police is on PS4, but I'd imagine that game will do best on Switch, at least in Japan. And then you have stuff like Baten Kaitos, which I don't think has a release date in America yet. So a partner showcase really wouldn't be that bad. And if they are going to wait until September, I think at the very least we will get that in the summer at some point, in conjunction with at least one more first-party game announced on Twitter, which leads us into September for that September Direct. Because, you know, and this is what I've been saying for months now, man. There is no way it's actually doom and gloom, no Nintendo games coming out this fall. Because why would they be releasing all of these games so close to each other? It doesn't make any sense. If the fall is actually empty, they would have saved Advance Wars, or even Tears of the Kingdom, or Pikmin, or Everybody Want to Switch. All of these games, you can interchange any of them. They all would have been fine in September, for example. So it's definitely interesting, because that to me says they have to have content ready, but they're just not telling us what it is. So I might do a separate video really predicting what I think will be announced and released this year. I have a couple of ideas. We have some rumors of, you know, ports and remakes. I think those are most likely to be what we end up getting this year. But yeah, the idea that, A, we're not getting a Direct because of this, I think that's fully unfounded. In fact, if anything, it suggests that we would get a Direct soon, because Nintendo has traditionally announced these family-friendly games outside of Directs, and then had a Direct within a few weeks time frame of that casual game being announced. And also, the idea that this is going to be an empty year for the Switch, yeah, it might not have the biggest new games, but there will certainly be a first-party game almost every month. In fact, I was looking at the calendar. This is the first year so far of the entire Switch's entire life that we've had a first-party game minimum once a month, because usually they skip May. But this year we actually had something in May. So for 6 months in a row now, or 7 months because of Pikmin in July, we have first-party games. Why not spread that out a little bit more? Unless they have a lot more to show. And even if it is ports, I do think they have a lot to show. So we'll be getting news soon. I'm really excited. Even something like for the potential partner showcase they could do, Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion was announced at the Marvelous Showcase. That'll most likely be a pretty big Switch game if it's exclusive. Certainly coming to Switch, I would imagine. So there's a lot to talk about. We're getting to that point now where I'm starting to get antsy, you know. I'm pretty detached from Zelda at this point. I haven't really been playing it, so I'm ready to see what's next. I know a lot of people are still busy with that, but I'm personally ready. And Everybody Want to Switch, while maybe not the most exciting announcement, I'm excited about what it means for the upcoming Nintendo news cycle. As a Nintendo fan, but also as a YouTuber, because there hasn't been much to talk about recently. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you think Everybody Want to Switch being announced has hurt the chances of a Direct, raised the chances of a Direct, or maybe it doesn't matter at all? Let me know your thoughts. I would love to have a conversation down below. I do have a new Discord server for my Nintendo podcast, the Nintendo Select podcast. That'll be linked down below if you want to talk to like-minded people about Nintendo news and like theorize and just this we are way too in depth right here, right? We go too crazy. We're a little too obsessed with marketing plans and strategies. But if you are interested in that kind of stuff, that is the Discord for you. So check that out down below. And until next time, folks, thank you so much for watching. Peace.